welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys and girls, I am a retired New York City police detective with over 20 years of law enforcement experience. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, please consider hitting the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get all things DutyRon. And when Ed Wallace is not outside the country, when we go live or upload another video. Hey, tonight, guys, I have a special treat for you. We're going to be speaking about, again, missing person case of Dylan Rounds, near and dear to all of our hearts. You know, Memorial Day weekend of this year, Dylan went missing, and we have been following this case closely. EquuSearch Midwest, the Midwest chapter, that's Dave Rader Twila, and the drone teams have been helping out with Candace and Dylan's dad, Justin, doing stuff from behind the scenes. But in the last week or so, they were out there for 6 days, 6 long days out in Lucin, and they were searching for Dylan Rounds. And I'm honored to have Dave Rader Twila and her team, and also Dylan Rounds' father, Justin. He was so gracious and kind enough to come and give us a little bit of background on what took place and all of the great things that EquuSearch Midwest have to offer. But before I get into it, I just want to say a special thank you to you, the subscribers, the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all of the folks who positively engage in this community. You see, you're what makes this place a really great community to be in, because we are respectful, we are engaged in all of these missing person cases that we cover. We do it with respect and dignity for the families, for the victims. And I thank you, the moderators, and all of you folks are really second to none. You guys are top notch. I tip my cap to each and every one of you. I thank you for the questions and the engagement here on Crime Time with DutyRon. Hey, without further ado, I want to introduce Dave Rader, the operations director of EquuSearch Midwest, and also Twila Sisco. She's a search coordinator. She's now the drone guru of EquuSearch Midwest. Dave Rader and Twila Sisco, thank you for being here tonight on this Tuesday evening. How you guys doing? Dave, how are you, brother?
Pretty good, Ron. Thanks for having us on again. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and Twila, you're always so busy. As a matter of fact, I have an easier time getting hold of some of my local dignitaries as opposed to getting a hold of you, Twila. Sometimes you're so busy with doing stuff, it's like I'm trying to pull teeth to get you on the phone. But I know you're busy. How you doing, Twila?
I'm great. I'm great.
Excellent. Hey, so the reason I got you guys on here tonight is, we did this. You guys did it. I say we, but I feel like I'm a part of what you guys do. You did this behind the scenes without any hoopla, without any cheerleading squad. You guys went out there into Lucin, Utah, and I want to highlight some of the great stuff that you guys did. And I know there's certain things that you can't talk about, but I wanted to go to Dave real quick and just get a little overview before we add Justin on, Dylan Rounds' dad. I want to, I can't wait to hear from him because, we have seen him speak on East Idaho News and so forth. But I love to have him here in this kind of setting, kind of like family. You guys are now become part of not only the Rounds, but the Cooley family. You guys are, up close and personal with them. So, Dave, can you just give the audience a little bit of how this all went down? And I know Twila, she handled it from on the ground there, but just give everybody an idea of how this all came to play.
This was quite the adventure to put this together. I mean, it took us at least a week to 10 days to really put this plan into action. There was a lot of moving parts behind the scenes, of course, as there always is. But as everybody understands, is that we did send one of our drones out there for the Diesel brothers to fly, and then we just kept thinking we need to put our boots on the ground and fly this and put this drone team together and make this thing happen. And it took us about 10 days to really facilitate And Candace, God bless her heart. I mean, you know, she's going through everything, and she made sure that the accommodations were taken care of out there, the flights. You know, they just bent over backwards to get us out there. And I'll tell you, once these guys hit the ground, it was absolutely insane. As far as when I was getting pictures back here, I stayed back home, and I let Twila and the guys handled this, and they did a superb job. But some of the pictures that they were sending back to me, I mean, the only thing that I can compare it to actually is the surface of Mars. I mean, it was about as close to that as from what I've seen. But you know, we had a great game plan. I let Twila actually take the lead on this, and I'll tell you, she hit, from what I understand and what I've been told, she absolutely took the bull by the horns out there and made this happen.
Fantastic. I love to hear those stories come together, because all of the phone communication that we've done, you know, back and forth, and then to see the plan, you know, go forward, it was just exciting. Twila, you want to expand a little bit? You had some help. You had, I know you had Tony D and Danny, and you know, help from the family. Before we bring Justin in, you want to maybe talk about some of the advanced planning that you did, and how this thing went down?
Well, we got involved with Dylan's case way back in the beginning, and we wanted to go out sooner, but we felt like if we waited to that perfect time to get out there, and like you said earlier, we kind of went under the radar, because our focus when we got there was Dylan, Dylan's father and Dylan's mother. We wanted to make them 100% comfortable with us. We wanted them to be out there with us. We didn't want them to have to worry about cameras everywhere and having to do interviews and this, that, and the other. So so we do the drone thing, and I have we got Tony and Danny. They're great. I mean, they know their stuff. They get their mapping. And like Dave said, we worked on this specific trip for about 10 days with Candace. We were in contact. I was in contact with her every day. And then I included Danny and Tony, and we decided, okay, we're going to go to Utah. Well, before we went out there, these guys had their mapping ready. We had Gene's drone. We carried EquuSearch's full spectrum drone. And at one time out there, we had, I think it was 4 drones in the air, because I was flying at one point, but it was every single day for about 10 days straight. We went over things. We made sure that we had everything, all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted, so that when we got out there, Justin and Candace and the rest of the family was comfortable with us, and seeing that, you know, we were there to handle business. We wasn't there to be nosy. We wasn't there to snoop. We were there to handle business. And that's what we did the whole time we were there. And I feel so very honored that I got to take 2 of the best guys with the drones that I've met so far. And we all know how great Gene is. But the 2 that I took with me out there to Utah, I'm telling you, everything went flawless. There was no mistakes. We ran those drones, and when the batteries was going low on the drones, they'd bring it back down, and they already had other batteries that was ready to go up. I had some really good people out there with me. And when we got to Utah, let me tell you something. Like Dave said, it's like Mars, because I literally got out there, and excuse my French, but I was like, holy shit, because you cannot put any words, you cannot look at pictures and look at videos that people's put out there and realize what it's actually like to be there in person. And Candace literally tried to warn me, and the hospitality that we had from Candace and Justin, and oh my God, let me tell you, we didn't have to want for nothing. We actually got to stay in campers on Dylan's farm, and let me tell you, they had heat, they had electric, they had water. Justin's mother made sure we had hot meals every night that we was there. And Candace was actually laughing at me, because she was like, Twila, since you've been here, you haven't stopped eating. I was like, I can't help it. It's just so good. But
Well,
I'm telling you, we worked our fingers to the bone, and it was.
You could stand to eat a little, Twila, and put a little weight on. You're so skinny.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm telling you, it was an experience I'll never forget, ever.
Yeah, and you know, it's a great thing, because the audience, like you said, there was no lights, cameras, action. The action was going out there and searching for the missing. Lost is not alone is the mantra for EquuSearch Midwest and for EquuSearch. You guys proved true to that. And I'm proud and honored to be a part of your community, part of your organization, and any of the super chats or any of the donations or any revenue that's generated from this live broadcast will go straight to EquuSearch Midwest and funding searching for the missing. Hey, before we get too far into this, we got Justin Rounds, that's Dylan Rounds' dad. He's hanging out with us tonight for a few minutes, and I wanted to just warm up the audience and let people know what you guys did. So I'm going to add him in without further ado. I'm honored and I feel privileged to have Dylan's dad here to say a couple of words for us tonight. Justin, thank you so much for taking out the time to come and hang out with us here and talk a little bit about what EquuSearch did for your family. And before you get going, I just want to say, my sincerest, thoughts, prayers, about this situation with your son. I don't wish this on my worst enemy, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with you guys on in the endeavors to find what happened to your son.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So Twila was just I had to slow her down because she would have talked for the last next 30 minutes. So she was saying about the hospitality that that your family, Candace's side of the family, and everyone was so gracious. The only thing that Twila complained to me about is that one night she froze because the generator ran out of gas.
Yeah.
It wasn't nobody's fault though. It wasn't anybody's fault. Justin wasn't there, and I didn't want to wake Candace up. And I was like, you know what? I could go over here and harass Tony and Danny, but I was like, no, I'll tough it out. But by the time 5 o'clock came, let me tell you something. I was out there. It was nobody's fault. Trust me, that was my luck. That's how my luck works.
Hey, Justin, I wanted to ask you real quick, because, again, folks have seen you on the interviews with Nate Eaton for the East Idaho News. I wanted to ask you, you have people that, are on the internet. You have this Facebook group. You have so many people that, try to inject help. And then you have people that are distractions. That's just a part of human nature. That's part of everyday life, right? I wanted to see if I could get maybe a couple of a couple of words out of you from regards to what EquuSearch did and how they offered their services to you. Like, can you tell some of the folks like what you guys did to prepare for them, like those trailers that were put out there? That was phenomenal what you guys did, and the hosting of them with the meals and taking them around and showing them stuff. Could you just tell the audience a little bit of how that experience was for you and your family, for Candace, and so forth?
Yeah, I didn't know what the heck to expect with these guys coming. I didn't know really who they were. Candace had been in contact with them, and I tried to get them to just stay in Wendover and drive every day, and Candace told me that they needed to be out there to work the whole time, and I kind of thought to myself, well, we'll see how much they really do. And every morning from sun up to sundown and then beyond, they were always going after it. I mean, go getting just crazy work ethic with them. I didn't expect anything like that at all. And like they said, they got to know us real good, and it was real comfortable and really good to be around them. And my mom made the dinners for them, and we got the campers set up and all the generators and everything. And sorry, Twila, that you ran out of gas on the one night, but it was great. I was blown away that some strangers like that would just come to help us the way they did.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful what EquuSearch has done over the course of time. And, I highlighted a couple of these figures. They have over 1,900 searches in 42 states. They've also gone outside the country into Aruba to search for Natalie Holloway. They've taken trips to Sri Lanka, Mexico, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, and they've never compromised any evidence in any of the cases. 400 plus people returned safely. and over 240 remains of missing people recovered. That's like, a lot of people don't know these stats, but I, as a retired detective, I did my homework on these guys before I got involved with them. And these guys are badass. They go out there, they're not looking for fame and fortune. And they do this, tirelessly, out there. Like Dave said, Twila, you got to stop her. She just keeps going. I have pictures of Twila with, sticking her head into holes, saving rabbits. She's all over the place, So Twila,
He was there. Justin was there right after we saved that rabbit. He seen that hole that I got down in there. It was crazy.
yeah. So I thought it was important, and I reached out to Twila and I said, hey, could you ask Justin if he'd like to come on? Because we speak all the time with Candace, Justin. She's kind of the mouthpiece for your son, and what better of a mouthpiece to have? Candace is a tiger. She's out there and fearless, and she's jumping up and down and demanding things from the authorities. And you know what? Any good parent would do the same thing. My partner, Ed Wallace, Justin said, Candace and you are both prime examples of what any good parents would do if their child went missing. And, I say child, he was 19 years old, going now 20. I have two boys of my own, 25 and almost 30. They're still boys to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
still 5 years old to me, in a way.
Exactly.
And DutyRon, while we were there, let me tell you something. Candace and Justin, they have their jobs. And while we were there, it was their daughter's 18th birthday. And to actually see that they could actually sit for just a few minutes, lay their head down and take a nap, or to see that they can be on their phone handling their business with their job and trust us to go and do what we needed to do. I'm telling you, there was many times that me, Tony, and Danny, even on our way back to the campers, we were crying tears for Candace and Justin, because I was amazed, like, how do they do this? And their mind is like, I can't explain it, but I feel it was such a pleasure, and seeing that they were at peace and at ease because there was no cameras around, and it was just us out there doing what we needed to do. And Justin, I'm gonna tell you, he needs to go do like the races in the Daytona 500 or whatever, because there's no doubt in my mind that man can bring home some money with the way he drives. It was crazy.
Yeah. And you got to see, what really the lay of the land is like there. And Twila, you had some conversations with me over the last day or two that you were kind of overwhelmed when you saw the landscape, right? It's not what it appears to be when we see it on these videos. And listen, we had, you had the Diesel brothers fly helicopters, and they had quite extensive aerial footage. But you had said to me in DutyRon, it was like, when we got down there, it was just like, you want to talk a little bit about that down in that area?
It was like nothing that I had ever seen in my entire life. I was sending Dave videos, and I was like, I told Tony and Danny, I was like, y'all, this is crazy. There is so much land. And like I said, at one time we had 4, maybe even 5 drones up in the air, and I've never seen nothing like it in my life. You just look straight ahead, and it's just wide open land all out there. Like, I'd love to live there, but at the same time, it's just, I can't even put words to it. It's unexplainable, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I looked at some of the stuff that you shared with me, and I was like, whoa, some of the angles and the shots from the ground and the views that were obtained. I can only imagine what you guys got from the drone footage that you guys flew there. I wanted to go to Justin. I wanted to go to Justin because, we have limited time with him. He's doing stuff, and I like I said, I'm just happy that he's here with us. I wanted to ask you a couple of things, like, this isn't like case related, but I know that there was like the question of like, the cooperation, the help from the local law enforcement. You know, how important is like a team like EquuSearch, the Diesel Brothers, and other people coming out and helping you? Because it's a well-known fact. I mean, I don't have to say it, I don't have to address it, but it seems like, you know, the sense of urgency from the get-go was not high with Box Elder and so forth. I was very vocal with my partner Ed Wallace. We said, you know, you demand more, especially you're talking about your son here. How's things going now with communication? You don't have to go far into it, but do you guys have like open line of communication with the different lines of law enforcement, or if it's just one branch of law enforcement? Is everything going good?
Because the only contact I've ever had was with the FBI agent that we talk with, and sometimes he scolds me for some things I do, but it's good contact. Oh, there you go, put me by myself. He's been wonderful to work for. I haven't heard anything at all from Box Elder. We got a email allowing some dogs to come and do some searching. He said it would be all right, but that's the only thing I've heard from Box Elder at all. So
all right.
It was awesome to have those guys out there, though. It was a whole different thing when EquuSearch came out. It was relaxed, it was calm, it was just wonderful.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can still hear me. Something happened with my camera. It just shut off. And here is, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, so I got a black screen, but I don't know why my camera shut off. So, but I'm going to continue to talk. That to me is, again, a concerning situation, but at least you have your federal counterpart that you guys are communicating with. But, and again, we've covered this and spoke extensively about it. The reason I brought it up is because when you have that situation and you're not getting help from your local authorities, and you have folks like EquuSearch coming out, it's got to give at least a little injection of
Hope.
Highlighting what's happening with your son, or
Oh, definitely. I felt like we were going nowhere. I felt everything we were doing was worthless, and it was absolutely miserable. And then they came, and nothing's wonderful, but they sure made me feel like somebody was there.
Right.
Lost but not alone. That's no kidding. They came and brought me a shirt and a couple wristbands, and I got one in my pickup. I don't wear wristbands, but I see that every day, and I felt that when they were there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And really the prime reason why I wanted to do this public live stream is to, show folks and supporters that are out there and other families who are in need of services like this, that, EquuSearch, all of their stuff is linked down in my description. If you need to reach out to them and there's any way that they can provide you, even with, support with just a conversation or trying to help a family work through communications with law enforcement, because listen, without the authorities giving them the blessing, they don't come in and just insert themselves. So that's the difference between, people that are out there and just, searching around randomly, and groups like this who want to have the blessing from the law enforcement. So this way there's an open line of communication and perhaps some information like, hey, you might want to look over here. Hey, we looked in this spot. Twila, I want to add Tony and Danny on before we let Justin run off, because they were here and they spent the 6 days with you guys. So let me add Tony in, who is part of your drone team, and Danny. Danny, thank you. And Tony, thanks for joining here tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hey, I want to start with you, Tony. You started with EquuSearch just a short time ago, but you hit the ground running. I want you to first talk about how you came and found out about EquuSearch, and then Twila, you might want to, after Tony's done, expand on some of his stuff that you guys do together. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. So back in 2014, there was a case that a friend of mine, his son went missing, and this organization was up there helping find him. And I went up and helped out. And Dave, a lot of people went out just looking on their own, which is not a good way to do it. But the people that did it right went to Dave, and he sent everybody out in groups, so different places. So he knew where things, was going.
Right.
So, I seen that, and back here in May, I went fishing with a friend of mine, and we was up there. There was a search team, and I said, I think that's what I want to do. So I contacted Dave. I seen a video, one of your videos, where he was talking to you about having to send a drone out, mailing it, or something like that. And I said, you know what? I'll just go get a drone and try to keep from him mailing his drone out.
That's awesome. Awesome.
And that's where we're at.
Yeah. So you started based on, seeing them do searches from in the past, and then this year watching videos that we've created. And that's the great part about social media. Social media sometimes can be such a shitty place, but when you do stuff like this and you're talking about searching for the missing, there's people that watch, and there's people that watch from all over the United States. There's people that watch from all over the world. The great part about this thing is that this is volunteer work. And Tony, I tip my cap to you for doing what you do and continuing out with EquuSearch and searching for the missing.
Thank you.
Danny, so did you just join in on this mission, or have you been around for a little bit searching for the missing?
So I actually got into the drones before Tony, and I got him interested in the drones, and then he got me in on the EquuSearch searching. So I've been on a few searches before we went to this one, and I knew more about the drones than he did. Mm-hmm. So that's why I joined to help out and contribute all the drone knowledge I know.
Yeah.
With, all the cases.
And DutyRon, we've been working together, like me and Tony, we've been working together like through phone for, I don't know, several months. And then he told me he had a friend that wanted to join, but Danny, right before he joined, he was in a really bad motorcycle wreck. So Tony was like, well, I hope he heals well, da, 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 da. So then when he healed, he came along and I, got him through the steps, got him on the team. So then we all three started communicating, and they went on different searches, and Tony wasn't even on the team very long, and he had like 3 recoveries under his belt within, I think it was 2 recoveries or 3 recoveries within 2 or 3 days time. And then Danny came along. So the 3 of us has been communicating for months. And believe it or not, when we made that trip to Utah was the very first time we had ever met each other, the 3 of us.
I find that fascinating, and how that could work so well, because it seemed like you guys were a well-oiled machine. And even Justin said, these guys, in my phone call with Justin today, he said they didn't waste any time. They were, they went at it early morning after we fed them, and then they went out there, and they didn't come back till late in the day when it got dark, and sometimes after dark. Justin, are you surprised to hear that these guys just started with these with EquuSearch? I mean, Dave and Twila have been together for years, but
I was. I didn't know it for a few days. I don't think that they hadn't been together for. I thought they were a team that worked together all the time. Wow. They seemed to get along the whole time. I would have never guessed it at first until they told me.
Twila, well, you pulled it off.
You did.
I want to talk just quickly. He said you nailed it. I want to talk about the mission. The plan was to search certain areas. Now, I don't know, is it okay that you speak about some of these areas that you were concerned with and that you searched, or do you want to get into a little bit of that?
Yes, I can. So I put this plan together with Candace, and she gave me areas that she wanted searched. And then when we got out there, our goal was to make sure that we covered everything that Justin and Candace and even their other, their daughter and everything. We got to meet her. Beautiful, beautiful soul. Great kid. Our goal was to make sure that we covered any and everything, and I didn't care what it took to cover what Justin and Candace and the daughter or any of the other family had told Justin or Candace for us to cover. That was our main goal, was to make sure we left out of Utah with this family 100% satisfied and comfortable with knowing that these areas that they had stuck in their mind, that I wonder if this got done or I wonder if that got done. We wanted to make sure that they were happy with everything or everywhere we went. So we had, and of course, you know, we have to change things up sometime. But our mission and our goal, our number one goal, was to make sure this family was absolutely 100% satisfied and comfortable knowing that the areas they had in their brain was covered when we left there.
Yeah. And I want to put some of these pictures. You gave me permission to share these. So I'm going to share some of these pictures when we're all in these small little boxes, but this is taking up most of the screen. This is you. Can you just describe what you're doing there? You look like you're focused, Twila. You got your EquuSearch gear on. Where is this, and what were you doing here?
So this was a specific area that one of the, I'm not going to say which one, but it's one of the washes that Justin and Candace wanted us to take a look at to make sure, you know, to cover that. And in that particular picture, I got my phone in my hand because I think I had marked targets or something on there, and I had that map that we used with the target, and I think I was overlooking at one of the targets that we had found, or it was maybe some animal bones or something like that, but it looks like I was definitely focused. Tony or Danny one took that picture. Maybe they know what it is, because I was surprised when they gave it to me, like, what was I doing here?
Tony, Danny, one of you guys want to chime in?
She was probably finding bones.
Finding bones. Yeah, and I want to talk to you about that towards the end here, because you guys were finding a lot of different stuff, but Twila is pretty well versed in identification. But we'll get into that towards the end. Twila, I'm going to click on these. I'm actually just keeping my fingers crossed that nothing that we weren't supposed to show comes up, but I think I have it all right. This is a lost, but not lost is not alone. Dave, I still have like a half a bag of these wristbands. These lost is not alone. What is this? What are we looking at here, Twila?
So that right there is just like a small little fence post thing. And those trees that you see back there, I believe are the only trees that we've seen for the whole 6 days that we were there. But underneath those trees is the pond where Dylan's phone was found. And me and Justin and Danny and Tony and Candace, we literally took a walk around that whole pond, you know, just trying to put in our head, how did that come into play? And when we were leaving the day that we were leaving, I asked Danny to stop, and I said, let me leave this bracelet right here. And anybody that walks up to see that, I left the part that says lost is not alone. That would be the first thing that somebody would see when they go there, in hopes that, you know, if somebody's seen something, heard something or whatever, they'll feel in their heart to say something. You know what I mean? I was trying to do anything I possibly could to bring awareness for people to know that it's okay to call and say something if you know something. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I felt in my heart I needed to leave that when we left out of there. One for Candace to see, one for Justin to see, and the rest of the family, and to let everybody know that we're not going to give up. Just because we're not out there right now, we're not going to give up. I mean, I've had Tony and Danny asking me every single day, when are we going to go back? When are we going to go back? Can we go back?
There you guys are. The dynamic, the Three Musketeers, I'd like to say.
Yeah, we took that picture on the last day.
Awesome. Hey, Dave, I wanted to ask you quick, when these guys are out here, are they calling directly into you and getting like on moves, or is Twila just completely in charge of the whole show out there?
Twila is definitely in complete control out there. And when they got back at night and they were going through imagery, then I would get they would kind of fill me in as far as what they did for the day. And then if there was something that when they were out in the field and we were trying to still kind of think about different places other than what Justin and Candace wanted to do. So we still had some things up our sleeves as far as that when we took care of what they wanted. We were still kind of looking at some different options as far as what kind of made a little bit of sense with them. with what we were thinking outside the box from previous cases. So we had some things going on in the background that we really didn't share with anybody, but we kind of had this kind of meeting every day, every other day, to see where we were in the mission and how things were going as far as with the communication, even getting the imagery back to Gene so he could start looking through all of these images, because they took a boatload of imagery. And I'm not going to say how many, but I can tell you it was the most that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were in constant communication.
That's awesome. Yeah, because a lot of people had those questions on how that goes down. So thank you for explaining that. Twila, can you guys tell me what we're looking at? Is this the dirt mound where the boots were found, Justin or Twila? Anybody?
It is.
That's absolutely correct. That is the dirt mound, and I assure you that we walked up there up close and personal, and we made sure that that dirt mound was clear. So this is the front right here. The yellow bucket is where the dirt mound actually came from, the dirt where the mound is. And from what I understand, Dylan's boots was right behind that dirt mound.
Yes, they were.
Okay. And Justin, can you just tell us, is this the backside of the dirt mound that we're looking at here? And
Well, from the shed, that's the front side.
okay.
I believe.
So the boots were behind on the backside of this thing?
On the backside is where the boots were laying.
Okay, let me see if I got a shot of that. Oh, who are these? Who are these guys? All right. Yeah, so this is the other side, looking
Right
back
there.
at the grain shed, right?
That's where me
Right.
and Candace, when we saw the boots, that's where we saw each other, and where she gasped for air, and yeah, that's it right there.
Now,
That's it.
I want to ask you, Justin, and then Twila, perhaps after Justin. So there was a big question about this dirt mound, if it was, looked at or pushed over or dug through. You guys know the lay of the land there. Was this thing looked through?
No, not that I know of. It hasn't, but there was no weeds in it. I mean, there was weeds growing on it and stuff when we got there that day to look for Dylan. I mean, it hadn't been disturbed in some time.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I know the FBI looked around it, and dogs have been around it and things like that. But
Yeah, I can agree with Justin on that. It didn't look like it had been disturbed. You could tell from the growth that was there, and yeah, you can most definitely tell that mound's been there with the weeds and stuff that was in there, the tumbleweeds, that it hadn't been disturbed.
from day one, when we found the boots, it had, you could tell it hadn't been, there had been weeds growing on it.
Right. Yeah, and the only reason I brought that up is because that was like one of the looming questions amongst the true crime enthusiasts, is like, did anybody search through that mound of dirt? But like you guys just explained, if there was disturbance, in other words, okay, I apologize in advance for even saying this, Justin, but it is what it is. If in fact Dylan was buried in that mound of dirt, there would be a disturbance. And Twila, Dave, you guys have been doing this for years and years. You know what to look for. Twila, I asked you outright, when you were, coming back from early on, when you came back from there. That was the first question I asked you. And I've asked Candace this many, many a time. Your observation is that there was no disturbances there. It didn't seem like there was any points of interest where you would want to bulldoze that thing over or dig it out, right?
Right. And I can assure you, between me, Tony, and Danny, when we spent time around that dirt mound, even went back over to the dirt mound after we run some of the images, and I can assure you, we walked around every inch of that dirt mound, and we even searched, dirt, moved the trash and stuff that was near that, because it looked like maybe at some point somebody was putting trash in there. So we made sure we checked that too.
All right. And tell me, what am I looking at here?
Oh, Tony took that picture. I guess he'll have to explain that one. That's my butt up in the air.
She's down smelling some dirt there.
Twila, why?
There was a disturbance there in the dirt, in the ground, and it looked kind of weird. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna walk over here, but I had no idea they were taking pictures. So I don't know why, but I like to, when I see something strange in the dirt or whatever. And there's a lot of people on our team that does that. We'll smell the dirt to see if we could smell any kind of odor or whatever, because that's something. I don't want to speak of it while Justin's here because I don't want to disturb him, but that's just something that I like to do, and it makes me feel comfortable. Okay, I don't feel that there's nothing there or whatever. And I had no idea Tony took this picture, but that's what I was doing, pretty much smelling of the dirt to see if anything was there.
That's amazing.
Determination.
Yeah. So yeah, they took a couple of pictures of you doing that, and I wanted to come back to this. What are we looking at here? Justin, do you recognize this photo?
That's the Lucin Pond right there.
Okay.
Where Dylan's phone was found. Just if you look in the opening right there at the front, probably about 5 feet in, 4 feet, somewhere in there from the bank. And I was there when they found it, the search and rescue.
And how did they go in there? How did they go in there, Justin? Did they?
They started at the backside where that big tree is in the back, and they just went back and forth with wetsuit on. One guy did, I think one guy, and he had a metal detector, and he was just kind of going back and forth, and they were just about to get done doing it, and that's when they found it. They were just about to think they hadn't found anything, and that's when he'd found the phone and got out. They went back and forth, zigzagged in a pattern throughout that was the Box Elder search and rescue. They did a good job. There was some guys in there that did a really good job. Very thankful for them.
Yeah, those are some of the things that people don't really get to hear much about. And, I don't know how long that would take to search that, but I'm sure that it took quite a bit of time to.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name that did it, but he researched the phone pings, and he kind of had it figured out where it would be there when they found it. And that same guy that found the phone, when we first got to that night, the first night they came, he was out back west of the grain shed by himself. We didn't know who was out there. We thought they were all on the east side.
Right.
And we saw him out there by himself walking clear out there, and me and Candace jumped in my pickup, and we thought maybe it was Dylan walking through. He was kind of a younger looking guy, but that's the guy, and he put a lot of work into this, and they did awesome, the search and rescue.
That's fantastic. Twila, what is this? What are we looking at? Anybody?
I think that was just an extra random picture of the tree and stuff over there. Oh, wow. This is when we were trying to keep up with Justin here. Of course, I got out of the car because I was like, ain't no way. I'll get in the car after you get down there. But Justin, we were following along behind Justin in that rental there. And I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it looks like you almost got stuck.
And Justin takes that in his truck like it ain't nothing. And I was like, how does he do this? How does he do it?
Well, it's so big out there. If you don't go fast, you ain't getting nowhere.
Oh, right. Yeah. And let me tell you, Justin wastes no time. He can get you somewhere quick, fast, in a hurry. I'll tell you that much.
I love it. I love it. Let's move on. Let's see what else we got here. All right. So I got to go full screen with this picture because I wish that I could make this bigger, but what are we looking at here, Twila?
That's one of the that is a wash that's out there. I'm not going to say whether it's the one of interest or not. I will say that is a wash that's out there, which we went into multiple. I can't say whether, yes, this is the one that's been talked about or no, because I don't want to do that in case it is, you know what I mean? But that's what the washes look like out there. When people are talking about the wash, that's what it looks like.
Okay. All right. That gives us a good picture of that. And you sent this to me.
That's another one.
While you guys were there. All right. I think we shared enough here. I promised Justin 20 minutes, and we're here for 45 minutes.
Time flies when we're having fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is all about the 6-day mission. And Twila, you know, while I still have Justin here, you and I spoke, and Dave concurred with this, and I know that Tony and Danny probably know of this. You guys want to come back. There's some unfinished business. Do you want to talk a little bit about
Absolutely.
the reasoning why you want to come back there?
We actually want to go back and to kind of expand where we were a little bit and do just a little bit more work on some other areas that we think should really be searched or researched or whatever. And I also want to go back because I miss Candace and Justin. I miss them so much. We was basically crying when we left out of there. Excuse me, but Tony and Danny's been asking me every day or every other day, hey, are you ready to go back to Utah? Are you ready to go back to Utah? Because let me tell you, we could go out there for a month and a half, 2 months, and still not cover all that land out there.
And the
Period.
food was that good, huh?
Oh yes, heck yes. We had lasagna one night, and then we had roast beef and gravy with mashed potatoes, and then we had some rice and chicken and rice soup. I actually had to message Candace the other day to ask her for the recipe for the soup. Plus, I took turns, like I'll go over to Tony and Danny's camper too and steal their fruit and their candy and stuff like that. Yeah, the food was great.
It sounded like a great hospitality, and it's a testament to the Rounds and the Cooley family coming together in this time where they need, you know, folks like yourself to help them search for their son. And that's what this is about. This is about Dylan Rounds. And there's still, I want to remind the listening audience and anybody that stumbles across this, there is still a $200,000 reward. And if I remember correctly, my almost 60-year-old brain, I heard Justin's father say, this money's burning a hole in my pocket. I want to give this away to somebody. Listen, there is a reward out there for anybody that comes forward with information. Let's not forget that. I'm going to link it down below in the description. You know, this is way too long. We're talking about Memorial Day, you know, May of 2022, and here we are coming into November. We're looking for answers. We want to find Dylan and bring him home, and the only way we can do it is with the help of people who speak up, and great folks like Dave Rader and Twila Sisco, Tony and Danny and Gene and everybody behind the scenes. You guys are amazing. But I want to also mention the news reporters. You know, it's important to get these cases out there. Have the news speak about this. It's important. Nate Eaton from East Idaho News, but also Marcos Ortiz. He was a great news reporter who we just lost over this past weekend. He passed away suddenly, and he covered Dylan's case with quite a bit of vigor, and he was asking the tough questions. And one of his last interviews, I want to play it here, he got somebody from Box Elder, and it was, I think, almost one of the first times we heard, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, it was one of the first times we heard anything from Box Elder through the media.
Yeah.
So I want to play this little bit, and then I'm going to play a memorial for Marcos Ortiz, who in my eyes was a fantastic investigative reporter, and he's been in the reporting game for a long time. And I reached out to him when Dylan first went missing because I was impressed with his reporting, and I wanted to get his take on what he was feeling being a reporter in Utah. I never got to communicate with him, but I did send him a message. But let's play one of his last pieces. So this is from ABC4.
Box Elder County Sheriff's Department isn't ruling out that he may have had some help.
James Brenner is our primary suspect at this time. Lots of other names have been shared with us. I can't say that James is our only suspect.
James Brenner is currently under arrest on a weapons charge and the assault of a man in 2021. This morning, he made a brief court appearance on those charges in a Box Elder courthouse. Brenner worked on the farm of Dylan Rounds. The 19-year-old operated the farm in western Box Elder County near Lucin. Since early June, authorities in Box Elder County have not been accessible to the media or Dylan's parents about the investigation, and it's brought criticism from Candace Cooley, who wants Box Elder to remove themselves from the investigation.
Removing us from the case just doesn't make sense. We were here from the beginning. We've involved all these other agencies, even the ones that she's named to take the lead on the case.
There is a belief that Dylan Rounds may be dead, and finding him is a priority for both his family and authorities.
We're treating this as a possible homicide investigation. So that would be my response to that. We've built a fairly strong case based off of some forensic evidence that we found, but obviously the break in the case will be when we locate Dylan.
But a former prosecutor in Salt Lake and now a trial lawyer says without a body, it would be hard to convince a jury a crime was committed.
If there is no body available at the time, then that element of the offense is missing, and the case wouldn't even get past a preliminary hearing.
Kent Morgan points to the Susan Powell case in 2009. She disappeared, and her husband, Josh Powell, was the primary suspect. But he says they needed more evidence to prove he murdered her. Palmer won't say what made Renner their suspect. They do have his phone, and it's unknown why Dylan's boots were found lying near his property. Palmer says their evidence was reviewed by an independent team of homicide investigators.
And that independent review established credibility in the case and showed that there is substantial and pertinent evidence. The truth is this case hasn't gone cold. It's still an active case.
The deputy chief says they're allowing the FBI to keep Dylan's family informed about the investigation. He says there's just too much friction between them to have a working relationship.
I got to say, I played that because it was his last piece that he did, or one of the last pieces on your son, Justin. But my take from that, and I don't mean to rehash stuff or just unearth things, but for me as an outsider, when I heard that deputy, I think that he said his name was Palmer, it almost sounded to me, and you can either expand on this or you don't even have to. It sounded like to me he was bothered by that news reporter asking those questions. And these are and for those of you who don't like cursing, hold your ears. But this is the very fucking reason why they take an oath, is to protect and serve and to also investigate these cases. And for me, as a retired 20-year professional, I would never speak to a reporter or in public with that tone. And I could be way off base, but that's my take on it. And I'm saying it myself, Justin. I don't know how you felt about it, but
my take before you said it.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, they're supposed to be working for us, not us trying to pry them or force them to do their job. So again, that was my take there. And I did want to play that because, again, Marcos Ortiz passed away suddenly, and we send our condolences and thoughts to his wife and his daughter and his family. So yeah, Justin, I appreciate you, spending time here with us. I don't know if you have maybe, a couple of words that you might want to say to EquuSearch or to anybody that's watching here tonight.
Yeah, I do. I want to thank everybody that's helped in all aspects. People, some of the locals there, all kinds of the people that are helping genuinely. I want to thank all them, and I want to thank you, DutyRon, and I appreciate that. But EquuSearch, I really appreciate meeting Tony, Danny, and Twila out there in the desert. It meant the world to me that you guys would come out there. And I don't like to do these interviews at all. The only reason I did it is Twila asked me to. So other than that, I probably wouldn't have done this, because I get pretty uncomfortable doing this. But it just, total strangers coming out to help total strangers. You don't see that very often.
Yeah. With all the shit that goes on in this world and all the things that we're dealing with and the hate and divide and so forth. When you have something like this happening, especially to your family, you know, this is something that you don't ever have to or want to deal with in a lifetime. To have people to come to your family's aid and try to assist has got to be a powerful thing. And I thank you for you know, listening to Twila and coming on. This is a safe place to always air your thoughts and, you know, get any kind of information out. You know, Candace has been on several times with us, and it's been nothing but you know, whatever you guys need, kind of a thing with us. So yeah, I mean, Twila, I know I saw you wiping tears away because you get emotional on this stuff. Do you have anything that you might want to say back to Justin?
I just want him to know that we're still here. We're not going to give up. We're here. We may be thousands of miles away, but we're still here. Sorry.
Aw, Twila. Dave, I just any final words for Justin and the fam?
You know, again, me and Tony talked about this on Sunday, and you know, I'm willing to bet that we're going to be back out there before the weather turns to shit. So that's kind of where we're at. So, brother, times are tough. We understand that, and just know that you're part of our family now. So you know, we're not going to give up by any stretch of the imagination, and we'll do everything we possibly can to continue this until we get until we bring Dylan home.
I couldn't think of a better family to be part of, so I appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
There's still more good in this world, Justin.
There is.
Trust me.
There is.
You know, and I hope that you know, in one of the missions that you guys do when you go back out there, that you know, maybe Dave and I can take the ride out there, take the flight out there, and you know, just to kind of give support. You know, I can always throw my sidearm in my checked-in luggage and then come on out there. You know.
Yeah.
Just
when I first met them, Tony come up and I didn't know who they were and I didn't know they were there, and I was setting up a camper. He had his sidearm on his leg, and I thought to myself, oh shit, I left mine in my pickup. Who the hell is this? I didn't know who it was. And then he comes up and he gives me a hug, and I'm not a hugger guy, and I kind of put one arm around him, gave him the one arm hug. And then Danny comes up, and I didn't know if I should hug him, so I kind of gave him the one hug, and I could tell he wasn't a hugger. He wasn't the hugging type. So it was pretty neat to meet them and then to get to know them as we went through the whole week.
Yeah.
Let me just expand on that, Justin, for a second, as far as the hugging part.
Yeah.
Every time that we get together for a search, when we have a group, we always hug in the morning, and we always hug at the end of the day. And you know, that's the kind of bond that I wanted to create with this team, is that we're not in this alone. We have each other's backs, but most of all, we have the backs of the family, and we try to instill that comfort to the family, because they're going through enough as it is. So that's one thing that I've always done since I've been in charge of this since 2012. And that we absolutely hug each other when we get there and before we leave.
Yeah, it's
pretty awesome.
Guy, but it left an impression on me.
Yeah, and I love the way Justin is so raw. He's like, "Hey, I'm not a hugger, man. Don't come in and hug me. I'll punch you."
Well, with the sidearm on his side, but yeah.
I love it. I mean, I have so many friends like that, you know, even within the police department. Like, you know, some of the Italian and Irish detectives would get together, and the Irish guys would be like, "Hey, don't hug up on me. We don't even say goodbye to our families when we leave." That Irish exit, you know, everyone's just like out the door. Well, the Italian guys and such in the squad, they're all hugging each other and giving kisses on the cheek, and the Irish guys are like, what are you doing? You know, what is that? But yeah, so yeah, it takes a little getting used to, but yeah, I mean, EquuSearch Midwest. If anybody that is watching the replay, any of the live viewers, anybody that's sent in super chats, we're going to forward all the super chats straight over to Dave and Twila and the crew. I am going to link down below the EquuSearch donation link. It's through their, I believe it's the website, Dave, and Facebook, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you can go over there. Again, it all goes, every bit of your funds. We did that fundraiser in February. I plan to, in the new year, do another one. It goes to purchasing drones. The drones that they have, we talked about it. I don't want to, go over it again, but all of the fundage that comes into Dave and Twila through Dave, it goes to helping families just like Justin and Candace. And it's not just the mom and dad. There's grandparents, there's brothers, there's sisters, there's aunts, there's uncles, there's cousins. There's so many people that want answers to this. And when you have a loved one that's unaccounted for, there's no worse pain than that. So I thank you, Justin, for giving us your time. This is, I think, the first time I've seen you on YouTube. You did those interviews. I just want you to know I'm honored, from one father to another, that you're here with us. And I hope you would consider maybe in the future, if need be, to come back and hang out with us. Yeah.
Likewise. Somebody might have to convince me, but yeah, probably I could do that.
Twila?
I'll be right there.
Thank you, Justin, for spending time. We're going to hang out just for a few more minutes and talk a little bit more.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Tony. Thank you,
Justin. Love you, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Ron.
All right, take care.
Have a great night.
All right, there he goes, Justin Rounds. That's Dylan Rounds' dad. It's so emotional when you talk about this stuff. And Twila, I know you get very invested in all, not just this family, in all of the families. It's got to take a toll on you guys, Danny, Tony, Dave. Dave's a big strapping guy with golden locks, right? But he has a big heart. So all of us, we hurt inside. When I handled these homicide cases, when I went out on these, heinous crimes that I witnessed over the course of my 2 decades in the New York City Police Department, it takes its toll on you. Twila, how do you cope with this stuff? What's your go-to to de-stress, so to speak?
My kids, or just being silly with Dave, Tony, or Danny. I'm always trying to throw something crazy or silly out there, but my kids get me through a lot of it, because I can't imagine the pain. This one right here, it hits home for me because my son is 19, and to see the pain, and DutyRon, I really don't know, other than my kids and my closest good friends, Dave and Tony and Danny and Linda. If it wasn't for those people and a couple others on my team, I wouldn't know what to do. I don't know how Dave's done it all these years, but I guess we just come together and get through it together, I guess. I don't know, but it's hard. It is truly hard. We did not want to leave Utah. We was trying to figure ways to stay out there longer, and it's hard, DutyRon. It really is.
Yeah. Tony, I know, this was one of your first main, out of town missions. And Danny, I don't know how many, or what you've done. I want to just start with you, Tony. What was the feel on this 6 days in Lucerne?
Wow.
Yeah.
Big. It's big out there. All in all, it was a great success. What we did out there, we got a lot done in the allotted time. Of course, you're not going to get all you done, what you want, but hopefully we get to go back out and help these guys. But one thing I want to say is your viewers, we wouldn't be out there without them with these drones. So they're number one.
Yeah.
And the team, I'm just grateful to be a part of this team, that they gave me the opportunity to go out there and help his family.
Yeah, and
Tony's getting emotional.
yeah, I could see that. And you know, Tony, that just shows that you're a human being. And you know, when you're looking for someone who is missing, presumed dead, you know, this is now a murder investigation. It's a huge responsibility because the weight is on you guys when you're out there, right? Everybody wants you to find Dylan, to find the person that you're out there. And Dave, I know you've felt this tremendous pressure in numerous cases, and we can go on, but I remember when, you know, you guys were out there on the Summer Wells case. It weighed so heavy on you. It was clear and apparent that, you know, it and it probably still weighs heavy on you, you know.
It never leaves.
Never leaves. Yeah, that was, yeah.
It never leaves. And there's hundreds, you know, when you don't have that closure, it just comes flooding back, and it always seems to be at night, you know, when you lay your head down and, you know, for the day, and you just kind of think about things and what somebody else is going through in comparison to, you know, you can sit there and bitch and complain all you want to about what your day was like, but then you start thinking about what these poor people are going through, and it doesn't even compare. So then you just, you lay there and you think, what else can we possibly do? What did we miss? What else do we need to do? And again, this is no different, you know, just because I wasn't out there, you know, I'm still thinking about, okay, I've got three absolute top-notch people out there that's on this mission. And, you know, what can I do from here to make their life a little bit easier? And what direction can I see that they need to go, or at least suggest to them? So those were the kind of powwows that we had. It's like, well, what about this? And what about bringing somebody else in and seeing what they think about cell phone pings? And, you know, there's just so much that goes on behind the scenes. And again, you know, Danny and Tony flying like this, and then at the end of the day, you know, Twila's sitting there, and not only trying to, you know, go through the mission, but then you have to come back at night and sit in front of a computer screen and go over thousands upon thousands of images, squinting and putting it into, you know, perspective. It's just, it never ever stops.
Wow. You know, Dave, that was powerful, but it's so true. So true. Danny, I wanted to get your thoughts on the 6 days. What was your takeaway from being in close with the Cooley and Rounds family?
It was definitely a unique experience. You know, it was great being out there with them and be a part of it. Like Twila and Tony said, Candace and Justin were great. Everything we wanted or needed, they was there to help us. And we was, like he said, we was literally out from daylight till dawn every day, try and fly as much as we could and just do as much as we could, get everything we could.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
There was a lot. We was constantly doing something. You know?
Well, that's tremendous.
You see that antler back there behind Danny? He snuck that back in his suitcase and brung it back.
Found that.
That's from Loose End?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Look at that. And that was
Danny was so excited when he came back with that thing. I swear it was like he won the lottery. And even Justin was looking like, this kid, he's so excited about this thing. And when we came back, our luggage, oh my God, I should have sent you the pictures because Danny's pockets. Yeah. I'm like, bro, they're going to stop you going through security because his pockets was literally full of rocks. We had tons of rocks that we brung back from us. It was crazy.
Wow. Hey, I want to go to the chat because everyone's been patient. Thank you, Sheila, for the super sticker. She sends in $5. Dr. Ed Moskowitz and Julie, just Julie, they sent in $20 and they say, thank you, team. You all have hearts of gold with prayers and hugs and hearts and so forth. Thank you, Dr. Ed Moskowitz. He's in Pocatello, Idaho. He's our family physician. And just Julie, she's also a part of the Moskowitz team. Thank you, Just Julie and Ed. JLL sends in a generous donation of $50. EquuSearch, continue the great work you do. Thank you so much, so much. And to anyone who gave super chats, just understand, while I had Justin Rounds here, I wanted to kind of just pay attention to him and to getting messages forward from the team here. So if I missed your super chat, I thank you for it. I'll re-review the chat. I want to also go to a couple of people like Dawn Marie. She's thanking JLL for the super chat. Thank you to all the mods, Diane B, Alicia B, all of the B's are in here. Eddie T, Laura Shortleg sent in a couple of super chats. Thank you, Laura, for supporting. Kimberly Culp, she sent in some super chats and said her mom's case is still unsolved, murder case. Just such, so many people that watch us that are part of Crime Time with DutyRon have had deep losses of their own, some unsolved, some still out there. And, we get these messages. They come in and day out, and I weed through them and I read them all, but it's just impossible to actually get back to each and every one of you. But eventually I do circle back. I just answered somebody that sent me a message 3 months ago because it got buried in my email system. There's just so many emails that come in. I hope to one day have a system where Josh can set it up where everything that is pertaining to the missing goes to a special folder. So this way I don't lose it or get behind the way I get behind. Because don't forget, all of these people here that are on this panel, we all have, jobs that we do, whether we're, full-time moms, dads, home folks, personal businesses, and things of that nature. So we're all busy, but when it comes down to it and volunteering time, we don't even give it a second thought. Twila is a mom of a few kids, right? And she just left everything for 6 days and went to Utah. So it's really admirable, this work of looking and searching for the missing. It's all volunteers. Dave, do you pay anybody a salary on your team, Dave?
Absolutely not. No. Nope. I don't take one. Nobody on this team gets paid a dime. 100% what through donations, we either use it for the drones, equipment that we need. We rented a car while we were out there. I mean, I think that was close to $800 just to rent the car. Candace did kind of backdoor us a little bit. We were going to take care of the plane fare out there
For missing
and she kind of took care of that, which I don't like that when a family, they've paid the ultimate, but she insisted on doing that. But I can tell you one thing: if we go back out there, it's not if, it's when we go back out there. We would use donated money for sure to help this family out. So that's what your listeners' donations go to is to 100% of why we're on the ground and to get us there and equipment. It doesn't go into anybody's pockets. That's for sure.
And I know that for a fact, because one of the questions that I asked Dave when I first met him or early on is, I outright said to him, Dave, how much do what's your budget like for a year's of operation, 1 year's worth of operation? And I was floored at the number that he sent back to me, how low it was, because he is able to economically get the job done, because people, even when they go out and he offers to pay for their hotels, some of these volunteers, they don't even put the slip in. They pay for it on their own. His budget is so small and they do so much.
If we didn't have, as the proverbial, my mother used to say, a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, I think that the people that I surround myself with in this organization absolutely does it from the heart. And that's the kind of people that I want is that kind of dedication, because those are the people that get the most done for the right reasons, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, 100%. It makes a lot of sense.
And DutyRon, I just want to, not to interrupt you or anything, but I want, and I think Tony and Danny can agree with me on this. I just want to tell Dave, thank you so very much for you and Linda trusting us three to literally go thousands of miles away to work this case. We can't be grateful enough that you allowed us to go do this, and you trusted in everything that we did, and you backed us up with everything that we did. You gave us your ideas and thoughts and this, that, and the other. And we can't thank you enough that you allowed us to go all these miles away and be our director. And you know, we learned from you. There was months that I was your shadow. Everywhere you were, I was there trying to take all this in. And since then, I've tried to, you know, teach Tony and Danny everything that you've taught me. And we're grateful to have a director of our team. And you're our director. We're grateful for you, Dave.
Well, I appreciate that. But, you know, again, it's to me, this is quite the dream team as far as from the drone aspect of this. And as we continue to I think lean on the drones with the technology that's coming out through Gene and what he's done with the research and development into this, you guys are a powerful team, and you guys gel, and it was a no-brainer for me to put this into your hands and all three of your hands. I just knew it was going to be a success, and just having Justin come on and hear the praise that, you know, when I was doing a messenger call with them while they were out there and Candace was out there, you could just see the relief on these people's faces that they didn't have before when these three landed and got down to business.
And Tony and Danny was great. I'm telling you, these guys, they are in it, and they are in it for all the right reasons. And I can't be any more grateful that everything went the way it did, because it was flawless. And these guys right here, I'm telling you, there was the only time I really seen Danny and Tony without drones in their hand was when we were driving from one spot to the other. They know their stuff. They get it done. They have their mapping before we even get to an area. They'll be like, okay, Twila, where are we going today? And I'll tell them, and they'll already have that mission in, and all they got to do is pull their drones out and put them up in the air. So, and they're good. They know what they're doing. They're good with them drones. Let me tell you, they're awesome.
That's freaking awesome. Sips, I think it was Sips of Cups, said that when you guys come out there again, she has a Jeep to lend you so you can keep up with Justin Round.
We tried to tell Tony to get the Jeep when we were up there, and we ended up with that Armada. We had a flat tire. They had to go fix the tire. Danny was driving it like it was I can't even explain to you. I had to step out of the car and walk to some of the spots because I was too afraid to ride in the car.
Let me correct that. It's Sips of Coffee. I said Sips of Cuff. She's a channel member, and she says, Dave and Twila, when you come back, I have a Jeep you can borrow. She says borrow. That means you got to give it back. I think it'll keep up with Justin in that terrain. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Well, the thing is that you might want to ask, what condition do you want that be brought back in?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We only lost the one
The dust out there is horrible.
Yeah. Twila, I had the picture of you inside the rim of the tire of the tractor out on the farm, and I can't find it. I was trying to find it, but I think I can get it on my phone. So I'm going to put it on my phone and show everybody it, because this is too much. I was hoping that I could show it full screen on here, but I think my phone will do it justice, because when I saw that, oh, here it is. Oh my God. I was like, look at this. Danny
was in one of the tires too. We couldn't find Tony to get him in there, but yeah, Danny was in one of them tires.
All right. Here's a picture, Twila. I want you to walk everyone through. I'm going to go solo with myself so everybody could see it. Hold on. Wait, I got to get close to the phone.
Oh yeah, that was me. And so I told Danny, I said, this tire is so huge. I could get up in here, and I mean, I was getting up in there just to the tire was huge, and I got up in there and still had room for somebody else. So that's what I was doing. And then I told Danny, I was like, here, you get in here. You get in when I get out, and I'll take your picture too. But that is the biggest tire I've ever seen in my life. And I got up in that thing like it was no tomorrow and was like, okay, Danny, take the picture. I'm in here.
That is
Yeah.
That is freaking awesome.
And let me just say something, Ron, if I can.
Sure.
You know, just before anybody goes and thinks that we went out there to play and everything. Listen, you know, when you work in these kind of conditions for as long as these guys do, people have to understand you have to have a little bit of sanity and a little bit of comedy and to get you through this.
Oh,
so I just don't want people to sit here and think, well, look at her, you know, she's in a tire and they were just out there playing. That's not true at all. You have to kind of, to keep your sanity, you have to make fun of yourself and do little things like this just to keep yourself sane and keep you on track. So I just wanted to kind of preface that before.
Not only that, with what Dave's saying, you know, this equipment was huge. So we not only had to look under this equipment, you know, there was holes on the other side where I was sitting that you couldn't see, that animals could have drug anything. I mean, we searched it, and I got up in there because I was amazed at, wow, this is crazy. So we searched all around there, and that was just a moment that we had to take for ourselves because of this big old piece of equipment. And it wasn't even long before that, before we were literally all three standing there in tears because of the situation that we were in out there looking for a 19-year-old innocent child and seeing the mother and the father there. And it's just, it is what it is. It's sad.
Yeah, same tractor I put my bracelet in.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, Tony's very first EquuSearch bracelet that he had ever gotten. I got up in there to clear it. I think Tony may have got up in there, and Tony was crying, and I put that bracelet up in there for him, and I asked him, are you sure you want to do this? And he says, I wouldn't want it to be anywhere else other than there. And he left it on the little gear shifter up there by the steering wheel inside that tractor.
That is awesome. And, you know, Mac Randall says it really well. You have to decompress. You know, you have to find a little bit of time to decompress. And yeah, you know, we had this type of stuff after we were on some heinous crime scenes and things of that nature, where we would have to find some, you know, humor, not in the moment, but humor for ourselves. So, you know, everyone's agreeing here in the audience. Jennifer Nobles, our great friend from Bakersfield, California, she said it completely makes sense. You have to have some humor or you'll lose it. Very well said, Jen. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Hey, listen, I want to wrap it up. It's an hour and 22 minutes. I want to just take this moment to, again, say thank you to EquuSearch Midwest and the team. I want to thank Dave Rader, Twila, our great guests here, Tony and Danny, you know, for taking out time on a Tuesday night. Everyone's got things to do, but I want you as our great friends and community to understand that these folks rely on donations from generous people like yourself. I can't overemphasize it enough. It is so important to support these great groups that search for the missing. EquuSearch Midwest, they're doing an unbelievable job. So go over to their linked Facebook page, their linked PayPal, I believe it's down below. Go over there and donate what you can, because they are doing God's work. So thank you to the entire team. Thank you for taking the time out on this case and many, many others. You guys are working numerous different cases from time to time, and that's what makes you guys really special. I want to say thank you to the live audience and the replay viewers for all of the generous donations and all of your kind words and support for not only just these four that are here tonight, but all of the people who do stuff behind the scenes, the Gene Robinsons and all the folks that help EquuSearch Midwest. Dave, any final words for the troop? I always like to go to you and Twila before we end these things.
Again, I can't thank you enough for what you do and your listeners for what they do to keep this the missing their names out there. Ron, you do it with finesse, you do it with compassion, and you it's not just a dog and pony show, and I appreciate you for everything that you do for the missing in every aspect of the diamond. So I appreciate you. I appreciate this whole team that I'm surrounded with, and I'm very proud of each and every one of them, and the new dream team that we have assembled here is absolutely a damn force to be reckoned with. So I can't say thank you enough to these guys for doing what they do.
Amen to that.
Thank you, Dave.
Amen. Twila, anything for the troops?
Yes, I want, like I always say, treat people the way you want to be treated, because you never know what somebody could be going through. And for anybody that's curious on what they can do to try to help Candace and Justin and the family of Dylan, is keep his picture out there, keep his story out there. For all the crazies, leave these people alone. They've went through enough. We were there. We seen them. They're strong. They're going to keep going for their son. And like I said before, I appreciate Dave trusting us. I appreciate Tony and Danny taking this trip with me out there. And DutyRon, I'm very, very grateful for you, because one of the drones that we did have out there, actually 2 of them, was from the DutyRon family here. Dave was able to get those 2 drones for us because of the fundraiser that you put on for us. And they're really good drones, and we made very, very good use of them. And we're going to continue to use those drones to try to bring the missing people home to their loved ones. So we appreciate every single one of y'all. And DutyRon, we love you so very, very, very much.
Love you too. Tony, Danny, thank you for everything that you're doing and you'll continue to do down the line. I appreciate your support here, Tony. You're a member of Crime Time with DutyRon, but you're a part of the family. And Danny, it was great meeting you here. I know I got to see you quickly on a video when you guys were in Utah, but that was quick and we got disconnected. But it was great to see you guys all in the truck out there doing your stuff. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm going to end this live stream with a tribute to the investigative reporter who passed away. I'm going to just play this tribute, and then we're going to end it with that, because he has so passionately reported on Dylan Rounds. Marcos Ortiz passed away suddenly over the weekend. He did the news conference for the Delphi murders, and he stood up and asked some tough questions. I covered that with Ed Wallace, and he was there, and I recognized his voice. I didn't see him. I just heard the audio, and I said, that's Marcos. And I believe the next day he passed away. So I'm going to end this with a tribute to him. I hope Dave, Twila, Danny, and Tony will stay in the background. But when that is done playing, we'll play our outro, and I'll see you guys on our next one. So as I always end all of these lives, I want to say God bless the world. God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially the victims and their families. We send them strength, prayers, and positive vibes, not only to the Rounds and Cooley family, but to the Ortiz family and everyone who loses a loved one along the way. Thank you guys from New York and various other locations across the United States here tonight. I'll see you on the next one, and stand by for a tribute to Marcos Ortiz. Thank you, guys.
C4 News is dealing with an unimaginable loss today. The loss of a beloved colleague. Our senior crime and justice reporter Marcos Ortiz died over the weekend. He was 68 years old. His journalism career spanned decades, and it took him all over the western United States. He was with our station for 18 years. Here's a look back at the man who was never afraid to pursue the truth.
Had it not been for Utah's law enforcement, Bundy may never have been caught.
Antonio Marcos Ortiz, better known as Marcos, a name synonymous with journalism. Hard-nosed, investigative journalism for decades.
For every crime, there's a story in The Truth Matters. Here's ABC4's Marcos Ortiz with tonight's Justice Files.
The Justice Files, Marcos's franchise where he was dedicated to finding answers, doing what he could to help families find closure in what often are cold cases that never get solved.
Stories remain to be told. Voices yearn to be heard. We investigate true crimes. The Justice Files. Damiana Castillo lived in these apartments back in 2008. For years, authorities targeted several young men as being responsible for the disappearance of Kiplin Davis.
But he loved his family even more. He was born in Lovell, Wyoming, and the youngest of 11 kids, born to immigrant parents. Who was by his side at the end of the day was what mattered most to him. That was his wife, Sandy, their daughter, Olivia, and their dog, Franklin.
They laid out the case that they failed to act upon the law.
Marcos's journalism career started as a teenager in the 80s in Blythe, California, working in radio. Then he came back to Wyoming, worked in newspaper, and eventually got his start in TV in Cheyenne. He waited years for his first TV gig to open up.
I look at that woman the first time she comes into Cheyenne, and I'm going like, oh, this is the woman who took my job?
That woman would be his future wife, Sandy, who had the job before him. They eventually both got jobs in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and by 1988, they married in Santa Fe. In 1995, they welcomed the birth of their only child, Olivia, who is now a lawyer in Chicago. Marcos loved his family, and he also loved his religion. He was a devout Catholic. His faith is what guided him through some of the most difficult crime stories he had to cover throughout his career.
And I'm a really firm believer in my Savior, Lord Jesus Christ, that can carry me through those time periods that appear to be rough for everyone else.
Anyone who knew Marcos knew he was dedicated in all aspects of life. His work, his religion, his fandom to the New York Yankees, and most importantly, his family. The loss is unimaginable. Marcos was 68 years old.